Taxi crew. What's going on, guys? Local taxi driver with another video. Been a week. I literally could not be bothered to make any content at all. But with that being said, let's get into the fight. The fights, rather. I'll start with the early prelims, and as I make my way up, they're gonna get better and better detailed breakdowns. But for the most part, just me gonna say what I think's next, how I like the fighters, this and that. So let's get into it. Denise versus Hines. Not a complete blobfest for heavyweight, which is usually the standard for heavyweight. Uh, First two rounds, obviously Deniz won. Hines was just happy to be there, I guess. Started putting things together in the third round. By that point, it was way too late. As for what's next for them, I think you do Deniz versus Justin Tafa. You know, the fight was already booked beforehand, so might as well just book it again. As for Hines, I think you do him versus Jamal Pogues, maybe a Ryan Spann. I think Ryan Spann's fighting someone relatively soon, actually. Yeah, he's fighting Lucas Bursky next month. Oh, yeah, okay, so that kind of works out. Yeah, I think you do Hines versus a Jamal Pogues or a loser of a Ryan. I think you do him versus a Ryan Spann, Bursky loser. I think that one makes sense. You don't really want those guys anywhere near top 10, top 15 heavyweight. It's just a bad look. It's a worse look for heavyweight if you have those guys closer to the rankings or in the rankings at all. Moving on, Nico Price versus Jacob Smith. Man, Jacob Smith looked really good for most of that first round. Nico Price was in there, was crafty vetting his way to survive the first round. I think you could argue the fight should have been stopped in the first round for TKO, but Nico Price somehow survived. Gets slumped out by Robbie Lawler, by the way. Cannot get TKO'd by Jacob Smith. Keep that in mind. As for the fight itself, almost TKO'd Nico Price. Nico Price brings it back, survives, barely manages to make the round at 10-9. Second round, kind of piecing up Jacob Smith, dude. I'm not gonna hold you. Gets submitted though towards the end of the fight. As for what's next for them, Jacob Smith versus like a not Randy Brown. I think Randy Brown would maul the fuck out of him. Jacob Smith versus a Chaos Williams. Brian Battles going to 185, so can't really do that fight. Yeah, Chaos Williams versus Jacob Smith. As for Nico Price, I think you cut him. I don't see any value of having him around. Like he's getting paid a lot for sure. The only thing I could think of was him versus Alex Morono, but he just beat him like twice already, so there's no point. Like, who are you going to give him? Maybe a Nico Price versus Williams, and you do like a different fight. Maybe a Nico Price versus Muslim Salikov. Maybe a Nicholas Dalby. Someone also kind of on the slump down. That's the only thing I really think of for Nico Price. Other than that, I think they're probably just going to cut him. That was his last fight on his contract, allegedly. I think you just cut Nico Price. Moving on, McKinney versus Borshev. Old Terrence McKinney versus Slava Klaus. Hard to see it. Borshev is kind of like one of those guys you don't want to see lose. Not because like he's your favorite and that, you just kind of feel bad for when he does. McKinney, I have Borshev winning this. I thought he'll chin McKinney like everyone else pretty much does. But McKinney survived. And sorry if you hear me breathing a lot. My nose is kind of stuffy right now. I think I'm sick, or I was just sick, so I'm still getting over that shit. McKinney submits Borshev in the first round. Slava Klaus, he's 9-6 now. I don't think you keep him around. I think they're probably gonna cut him too with Price. They'll probably go to like an LFA or a PFL, one of those like smaller, maybe like Cage Fury. I don't know, something of those smaller promotions. I don't see him sticking around in the UFC. As for Terrence McKinney, Terrence McKinney, you can't give him a jump off competition because every time he does, he gets slept out badly. So I think you do him versus maybe equivalent Salkild. Salkild fought relatively recently. McKinney took no damage, but I don't think McKinney fights that often enough. So you can do him versus equivalent Salkild or Trevor Peek. Trevor Peeks, I think he just broke his shin, so he's gonna be kind of out for a minute. But you kind of want to give him like a name. Terrence McKinney, you kind of want to give him a name at lightweight because if he wins, oh shit, Terrence McKinney's got to win. But if he loses, then it's not a good look. It's actually no, it's a good look because you just got a highlight reel for a Trevor Peek or for a fucking what's his name for Quillen Stockhill. If not, there's also like a Michael Johnson. I think Daniel Huber. You can get one of those guys. They're fighting, I think, next month, so they're probably gonna be on the same schedule. For that one, we'll see. Moving on, Tracy Cortez. She got a boring decision. Cameramen did their job. They deserve a fucking raise. Could have done a little bit better. My only criticism. As for what's next for Miss Cortez, one-on-one jiu-jitsu lessons with me, that's for sure. But all honesty, as for what's next, looking at the women's flyweight division, I mean, this is one of those divisions you don't really give a shit about, other than like when like a champ's fighting. I think you do her versus a Macy Barber, or a she just lost Nama Yunez. Yeah, I think you her versus Macy Barber. They might rebook the Barber versus Blanchfield fight, which in that case maybe a Jasmine Vicious, and then you could talk about a title eliminator from there. But for the most part, I think you do one of those two fights. I think those ones make sense. The other chick she fought, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm not gonna hold you. Vivian Aruajo. As for her, I don't give a shit. She'll probably get an Andrade fight because Andrade, despite being very small, she likes to fight 125 every now and then. Maybe her versus Miranda Maverick. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, Casey O'Neill has. Oh, yeah, I think Macy Barber is gonna be. I think Casey O'Neill was the one who had a fucking seizure. I think. Wait, let me check because I actually might be a little bit better. Casey O'Neill. Let me see, because I'm pretty sure. I don't know. One of them had a seizure. It was either Casey O'Neill or Macy Barber. I just remember that Gamrot fluked the fucking main event. That was the funniest shit ever. But yeah, Casey O'Neill and Miranda Maverick gave Araujo one of those fights. It don't really matter. It's women's flyweight. Don't act like you care. Moving on. Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. I'm pretty sure it's Jose Delgado. It might have been Jose Delgado. It's some Mexican shit. Great fight for as long as it lasted. Delgado got a nasty knockout over Emil. As for what's next for those guys, I don't know. It's featherweight unranked. I mean, there's only so many names there I can really think off the top of my head. Hyder Mills needs some time off. Maybe give him a guy outside the rankings. I think Edson Barbosa's going to 155. Steve Use is at 155. Fuck. Sahabi's ranked. Give him a guy outside the rankings. That's pretty far. As for Jose Delgado, I think you do him versus Calvin Kattar. Maybe a Dan Ige. But for the most part, I think you do him versus... No, Kattar's fighting soon. Either way, it would work out, yeah. Have him versus Calvin Kattar. Kattar's a bigger name. Or the winner of whoever Kattar's fighting. It doesn't really matter. As for Hyder Emil, again, somewhere outside the rankings. I would say maybe Charles Jourdain, but Jourdain's not even in that anymore. In that division. I guess it's Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson kind of got TKO, took a lot of damage against Sanige. They kind of on this almost on the same schedule. I guess you do him versus Sean Woodson. It's one thing I really think of. Moving on, Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. Man, Hermanson's looking pretty good. Hermanson looked really good up until the knockout. He was peppering up Rodriguez, but as soon as he stood still, as soon as like he gave Rodriguez a little bit to work with, boom, gets slept. And I think that kind of shows, like, again, this is kind of, so this will be the same take I had for the Oliveira fight. Hermanson's never really been knocked out like that before, so it's kind of weird to see that. But I had Hermansson picked, is what it is. Nasty knockout, definitely going to be back with probably a year or two later, like he usually does. More than likely, he'll be back next year. I'm hoping, because it kind of begs the question. This was the same Hermansson we saw for years already. So what the fuck is next for Hermansson? Like, what was he doing for that year? He didn't really improve his game plan. He didn't do anything new. He does what he usually does. He kind of kickboxes at range, just kind of like grinding around the octagon on the outside. Throws in some grappling every now and then. Nothing really new. As for what's next for them, I think you do Gregor Rodriguez versus Joe Pyfer. Pyfer didn't really take a lot of damage. You did Rodriguez. A little bit of scratches on the face, definitely some blood. Wait for that to heal up. Maybe a couple months later, towards I want to say November, you probably can do a Rodriguez versus Pyfer. As for Hermansson, kind of want to get outside of no weight rankings. Maybe like a GM3, I guess, a GM3, Kelvin Gastelum, someone with some kind of name value. Doesn't really matter. I think you do Hermansson versus like a Kelvin Gastelum, something like that. But man, that was a real fucking knockout. The unnecessary follow-up, by the way, very unnecessary, but good to see. But yeah, you do Rodriguez versus Pyfer, then you do Hermansson versus like a GM3, maybe a Shabazian, someone around that area next year. We'll see. Main card: Felipe Lima versus Payne Talbot. Pretty boring fight, not gonna lie. Talbot did show great improvements in his grappling, so it kind of argues how good is Jaime Barcelos really? Like, what do you really think about how good is Jaime Barcelos? Uh, Again, I'm not impressed by Talbot's performance. I'm really not. He was still getting clipped a lot by Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima's fucking kind of threw that fight away. It kind of reminded me a lot of the Brendan Allen versus Imavov fight, where he'd be doing good at one thing, then like he was doing good in the boxing with Talbot, but as soon as he got touched once, he should maybe try to grapple. But like, dude, you're not, unless you're chain. I don't think unless you're chain wrestling Talbot, you're not gonna fucking beat him. He's going for like trips, trying to do like a little like one thing. It's like, no, you need chain wrestle that motherfucker. You can't just be like, going for like throws, going for trips, going for this. You need like chain wrestle. You need like lead into this, and you need into that. You can't be doing one thing one at a time against Talbot. But that being said, he made great improvements in his grappling, his takedown defense. As for what's next for them, Talbot called out Adrian Yanez. That'd be a great fight. I wouldn't mind that. Felipe Lima, I don't know, dude. Maybe like a Christian Rodriguez. Maybe you could, or him versus Raul Rosas. That's a good name to have. Felipe Lima just fought on the pay-per-view. Him versus Rosas Jr. fucking add a little bit of credibility to his resume. We'll see what happens from there. Moving on. Nathan Moicano versus Milo Dariush. Man, that fight. Dariush is winning the fight pretty comfortably. You can argue 30-27, but that knockdown kind of sold that round for Moik. But man, Moik looked bad. Gas out the first round. Knocked down Dariush in the first round pretty badly. Tried to go for like a submission. Dariush just scrambled to survive. Then he didn't really, I don't want to say dominate the second and third round, but like, he didn't dominate, but more so Moicano just had nothing for him. He didn't do anything the entire fight. He just kind of ate kicks, would throw punches, go for like trips and takedowns. Pretty much got held down for the entirety of the second round. It just, man, dude, Moik really shit the bed, dude. As for what's next for them, looking at the rankings, I think you do a Moik Collin versus Chandler. Chandler's a big name that gets paid a lot. You kind of have to give him some type of name. Grant Dawson versus a Benio Dariush, or a Fiziev versus a Dariush. Same along those lines, because Dariush is in no position to fight up the rankings. He's 1-2 in his last three, coming off two knockout losses, almost a third in that first round. But that being said, you can't really give him anything. Fiziev's kind of in the same position. He's 1-2 in his last three. Kirei beat Gamrot. Can't really just fight Gamrot fight. But yeah, I think him versus Grant Dawson or Fiziev be a good scrap, be a good fight. Definitely going to see a finish from one of them. But moving on, Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. Great fucking fight from start to finish. Very competitive fight too. I had Royval winning that fight. I picked him to win. I picked him to win that fight. I assumed, number one contender for a reason. He's been in there with guys like Kai Kara France, with Brad Moreno, with fucking like all the top guys at flyweight, with Pantoja twice. I just assumed he would have something more, which he did. He had a fucking great showing for himself. I think where he fucked up was he tried mixing it in. I think the best way to beat a Van in the striking, just throw a 1-2 down the pipe. That seems to be his kryptonite. Just 1-2 down the pipe. Every time he would sting him with that jab in the straight. So, yeah, great fight though. Fucking first round, Joshua Van definitely won that fight. Definitely won that round. Second round, Royval won it. I don't know who the fuck scored it 30-27. But, anywho. Third round, Royval's winning that fight. Getting scrappy, getting even more competitive. So fucking close. Then he gets knocked down like the last 15 seconds. Or last 10 seconds, my bad. Pretty much secures Van that win. I guarantee you there's 5 more seconds that round. He gets TKO'd by Joshua Van. Man, this is a great fight. Van's so good. But the only problem is I kind of still want to see Van's grappling get fucking tested. We haven't seen that. And now they're going to have him versus Pantoja. I think Van is a future champ, no fucking doubt. But we just need to see his grappling get tested a little bit, just a little bit at least. Like him versus like a Tagir Bekov, him versus a fucking the guy that just lost him Bekov, of him versus like no wait, Tagir's like was Tagir 135 or 125? Oh yeah, I was right. Tagir Bekov, he is fucking flyweight. Ramazan Tremiov, like a name like that, like a guy who's gonna grapple with him. I wish we got fights like that, like a Rinny Nakamura. Like we got some fights to see, like okay, where's his grappling stack up? Like a Tim Elliott or Amir Albazi. Like a fight like that's gonna test his grappling, so we know where he stands grappling wise. But now we're giving it to Pantoja, who's the best grappler in the division, no doubt, the best all rounder, no fucking competition at all. And we're throwing Joshua Van to him. It's probably gonna be a competitive fight for as long as it lasts, but at the end of the day, I still think it's going to be a submission win for Pantoja. He's showing he's getting better and better. As for what's next for either guys, Joshua Van's getting a title shot, probably in December more than likely. He's gonna need some time off. Took a lot of damage against Royval. Yeah, December, maybe an Aspinall versus Gon pay-per-view with a co-main of Pantoja versus Van. That's the only thing I really see. As for what the fuck is his name? Brown Royval. I don't want to blank out his name, dude. I had to re-record this video like 3 times because I was breathing heavy on the mic like really fucking badly. Yeah, I kept like fucking up the recording. But as for what's next for Brandon Royval, I think you do him versus Amir Albazi. It's the only thing I really think of. Like that's a name kind of high up the rankings. A name is pretty beatable for him. It keeps him busy. It keeps him away from that title a little bit more. And Albazi isn't really a guy who's going to get a title shot relatively anytime soon. If he beats Royval, okay, boom, got a title shot. Maybe the winner of a Manel Cap, Kai Kara France. Sorry to spoil that a little bit later, but maybe the winner of a Kai Kara France Manel Cap fight, same around there. But yeah, great fight, great showing from both guys. Fucking yeah, Max Holloway versus Nate Diaz, close to we'll ever get. Moving on, co-main event, Alessandro Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. Dominant showing. France had some moments, but for the most part, dominant showing from start to finish from Pantoja. Man, that was. It just kind of like now we're getting the argument of like where does Pantoja stack in the GOAT conversation? Because they're going tit for tat for the striking. Grappling wise, he's pretty much dominating Kai Kara France. He's having moments with Pantoja, but for the most part, Pantoja's still gaining his positions. He's still gaining dominant position. He's taking his back. He's holding him down for as much as possible. So when he gets a cage, taking him down. It's just like, man, dude, Pantoja's so good. And now it creates a problem. Who the fuck beats this guy, dude? Like they had to literally they pulled a guy from another organization to come over and beat Pantoja, and he mauls him. Like third round submission. I called that shit too. Perfect. But anywho, yeah, Pantoja's making a really good argument for GOAT status, dude. Really good argument. To the point where now we're getting that quality over quantity. Like we really are. It's like DJ has like 13, 11 title wins. Pantoja has, what is it, like 5, I want to say? Because he has, what was it? He beat Moreno, a great fight, competitive fight. Dominates Royval, a pretty boring fight, but still dominant from start to finish. Beats Urseg in a very competitive fight. Could have almost gone either way except for that last round that really determined what to do. Smokes Kaya Sakura in the first, second round. And then just submits Kai Kara France after dominating him for like 3 rounds. So it kind of begs like, where the fuck? Like, I think like, dude, he's going to pass DJ. Like, give him like another 2 wins. He passes DJ for sure. There's no question. But yeah, dude, Pantoja definitely deserves to be like number 3, number 2, or he deserves to be like at least top 3 of like pound for pound. For sure. There's no reason why he shouldn't be top 3. But pound for pound's made by UFC. It's whoever they want to have a good name out there. So it doesn't really matter. As for what's next for them, Pantoja's fighting Joshua Vance. Pretty much confirmed they all stared on the cage. All we need now is a date. As for Kai Kara France, you do him versus Milcap. That fight already has some hype around it. Can do like a fight night main event, maybe a fight night main event. If not, you can do like a fucking pay-per-view card opener, maybe the second fight of a pay-per-view. It's a great fight. It's gonna be highly competitive. Definitely gonna get a finish from someone. But yeah, Flyweight's looking better and better. But also more and more dominant from Pantoja, where it's like, fuck, no one can really. Pantoja's the only champion I can say definitively is a champion of his division. Usually you look at like division, say, oh well, that guy beats him for sure. Oh well, he ducks that guy. But no, Pantoja is literally beating everybody. No question about it. Kai Kara France from No Cap, Joshua Van versus Pantoja. Moving on to the main event. Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria. Man, that was a hard fight to watch. Really hard fight to watch. I seen Charles's tower run from start to finish. Only thing I think I missed out was the Chandler fight, but even now I'm pretty sure I watched it. Dude, fuck. Like Topuria and shit. Let me just break down the fight. Oliver had moments, you know, the grappling tries taking him down, defends it perfectly from Topuria. Topuria defends it perfectly. As Oliveira goes for a trip, he sprawls it and lands just like dick to canvas, like perfect. And then he flips it and gets Oliveira on his back. And then Oliveira, like later, he goes for like a fucking ankle lock, but he's like immediately escapes that shit. Like there's like a little bit of trouble. Like oh shit, like he may get this. No, he doesn't. Joe Rogan's a fucking moron. Doesn't know shit about fighting anymore. So they stand back up. I kid you not, probably like a minute later, he gets slumped out bad. Oliveira throws a naked right hand, and for some reason, his other hand's nowhere near his face. He's trying to go for like a clinch or something. And as he's going for the clinch, Ilia lands. And as he's landing, he's like, oh shit, let me bring my hand back to my face. But by the time it happens, it's too late. Ilia Ray lands another punch, boom, slumps Charles out cold. Like, it's just weird because like we've seen Charles get TKO'd. We've seen him get TKO'd by Cerrone, by fucking Felder, by Swanson. And then that weird thing with Holloway where his esophagus tore. It just, I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's weird seeing a champ go out like that. And it's weird because Ilya's just done it 3 fucking times in a row. He slumped Volk. He brutally TKO'd Holloway. Now he just knocked out Oliveira cold. Like, I know there's jokes about, oh, I'm not a villain, I'm not a monster or some shit. Like, I'm a villain, not a monster. Ilia Topuria is a fucking monster. No doubt about it. Your fucking sirens and shit in the background. But craziest 3-fight win streak. He surpasses Khabib on the all-time list. There's no fucking question. Like, because he's not beating former champs. He's beating goats of his division. He beat Volkanovski, the greatest featherweight of all time. He beat Holloway, the fucking second, third greatest featherweight of all time. He beat Charles Oliveira, this like one of the greatest lightweights of all time, like the second greatest lightweight of all time, or third greatest lightweight of all time. Like with ease, with fucking ease. Like this doesn't happen. This is if Ilya's talking about going to 170 and winning the belt there off of Islam if he wins, or off of JDM, off the winner of JDM Islam. He probably fucking does it, dude. Like, there's no question. But I think the McGregor, like, every time we compare, the problem is we're comparing Ilia a lot to these guys. You're comparing Ilia to, like, Islam, to fucking McGregor, to fucking, who was the other person? McGregor, Islam, Khabib. These guys aren't putting the resume. And it's not even a resume. It's like 3 wins as good as Ilia. Sure, there's some controversy between all 3 wins. Like, I was going to do a video about it. I even told Dougie, his corner, to do a video about it. Where it's like, yeah, there's some asterisks around the wins, but you can't really fault Ilia for it at this point. Like, you really can't fault him. It's like, well, he's fighting whoever's in front of him. Like, he knocks out Volk cold. But yeah, but Volk's 2 months after getting knocked out by Islam. TKO's fucking Holloway bad. Yeah, but like Holloway's came from 155 back down. Fucking just knocks out Oliveira cold. Yeah, it's Oliveira when he's washed his out. Oliveira has been looking better and better in his last fights. Didn't get knocked down once during his last 3 fights. Dominates Dariush, knocks him out fucking cold. Has a competitive fight with Armin. Could have arguably won that fight. Then has a competitive fight, but for the most part wins it against Chandler. It's competitive, but it's like, dude, like, he obviously won. Gets caught by Chandler a few times to get dropped. Gets kind of like stunned. He doesn't get like, but this is like the best Oliveira we've seen in a while. He's not as fun, don't get me wrong, but it's like this is the best we've seen, the best form we've seen in a while. So, yeah, dude, you can't take away from Ilia too much now. Like, you really can't. And then, oh well, the McGregor comparison, the Khabib comparison, the fucking who is it? Islam comparison. Islam, he beat interim champs. He beat Volk. The first Volk fight was relatively competitive. His win over Charles, again, wobble Charles, submits him like the second, third round. Arguably, almost lost to Volk. Beats Volk in a rematch, brutally. That's Volk on 2 weeks' notice. Who else was it? Beats Poirier. Has a very competitive fight with Poirier. I think he submits him in the 4th, 5th round, if I remember. This is all off memory, by the way. I don't have any of this shit written down. Then beats Moicano on the day's notice submits him in the first round. We just see Moicano right now against Dariush. Like, come on, dog. And then the McGregor fight. Okay, McGregor beat Mendez. He beat Volk, and it was Mendez on short notice. Goes tit for tat and has a war with him. Like, okay, beats Mendez. Okay, beats Aldo. Okay, knocks out fucking Holloway badly. TKO's Holloway badly. And then he beats Oliveira in the first round, knocks him out cold. All right, but McGregor beat Alvarez. Who the gives a fuck about Alvarez? Is not anywhere near the level of Charles is. He's not anywhere near like where Ilia is. And that's why I'm counting the two Nate Diaz fights he had, where he lost to Diaz, and then like he barely won the rematch. Like this needs to stop. Ilia is leaps and bounds ahead of McGregor. The comparison shouldn't be made anymore. Any comparison to Conor McGregor is sacrilege. It really is. So, with that being said, Ilia, definitely top 5 all time. As for what's next for either guy, ignore the gameplay. This is bullshit. Ilia would never tap. As for what's next for either guy, it's kind of a weird thing going on where Ilia's calling out Armin, but then Patty went in the cage, then Dana's pissed, but he's not saying who should be next. I don't know, but it's a shit show. Joe Rogan doesn't watch the fucking sport. He should never call for Patty again in the cage. They had the camera on Armin too, which is even funnier. Armin weighed in as the backup fighter. It's just all weird. As for what's next for either guy and lightweight for the most part, I think you do Armin versus Ilia for a title. Armin's over one. There's no real clear contender at the moment. So you do Armin versus Ilia for a title. As for Charles, I think you do Charles versus Holloway. You know, first fight, Charles was, I think it ended in the first round too. There's no real like, oh well, now it's different. This and that. Like, no, now actually you get to see the fight. These are the two in their best forms as of recent. Kind of makes sense ranking wise too. And also, if Holloway loses, Poirier is what it is. Oliveira's coming off a loss too, so it doesn't really matter. As for Pimlet, Gaethje, those two guys, I wouldn't mind the Pimlet fight, but it shouldn't be happening. It really shouldn't. It'd be fun, but it shouldn't be happening. I think you do a Pimlet versus a Gamrot. That's the only thing you really think of. Everyone's going to get shifted up once in the rankings. Maybe Charles will go down a couple spots. So I think you do Gamrot versus Pimlet. That puts him like at relatively 4 or 5. Then Poirier's going to be leaving the rankings too. Yeah, you do him versus Gamrot. Winner gets a title shot. Gamrot's come off a win off of Ludwig Klein. And then before that, I think he lost a very competitive and close decision to Hooker that could have gone either way. So you do Patty versus Gamrot, winner gets a title shot. In the meantime, while Gaethje's bitching about not getting a title shot after coming off a win off of number 13 at the time, fucking Fiziev, you do Hooker versus Gaethje. You can even give that winner a title shot. Now it kind of helps the division. Now you got guys who are ready for a title shot. You got Hooker versus Gaethje. That's going to be a war. They're probably going to be out for a minute. In the meantime, you book the Gamrot Pimlet fight as quick as possible. Get that shit done quick. Gamrot didn't really take a lot of damage, got dropped kind of in his fight against Ludwig Klein. That's every Gamrot fight. That's not a problem for him. He'll be fine. Have that maybe, what is it right now? It's June. Put that September fight at main event, or whenever they go back to UK, Pimlet versus Mateus Gamrot. I think they should be going back to UK relatively soon, though. Fuck it. Book it. Whenever they go back to UK, Fight night, main event, Patty Pimlet versus Mateus Gamrot. Hooker versus Gaethje. Have that be a 5-round co-main of a pay-per-view. I say you book that MSG with Islam versus JDM. That would be a fucking banger. And I know bangers. And then, yeah, Oliveira versus Holloway. This is the best thing you can do right now for lightweight. Lightweight's in a great spot right now. With Ilia as champ, you have so many fun matchups. You have so many fun fights coming up now. It does kind of fraud check though the division. A lot of these guys are 45ers coming up. I think Guru said the same thing. He did say the same thing. But yeah, and then if Islam when he loses JDM comes back down, you have another title fight for Ilia. So yeah, Ilia's gonna be busy. The division's gonna have a good couple of years of title fights before I think Ilia retires. He's gonna retire soon. He even said himself he wants to retire young. So yeah, that's it for the card. Let me know what you guys thought of the video, what you thought of the card. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Uh, I'll try to do another video this weekend, or probably tomorrow. I'll probably do a video on Pantoja versus DJ on who's the GOAT and what does Pantoja need to be the GOAT. More than likely, I'll do that. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next one. Bye.